Okay, well that's booting up. Hello and welcome. Good. Hi there. Hi there. Come on in. Come get cozy. Come get settled. Welcome to Lolita 101. My name is Courtney, and a little bit about myself. I've actually been interested in the fashion since about 2007, but I didn't start actively wearing it till about 2014. Like, I'm really curious. Like, I know I see a few other Lolitas here. Has anyone else like wanted to get into the fashion or has started dipping your toe into the fashion? Awesome. No, I'm honestly very, very glad to hear that. Like, this better work or I will scream.
Shall we mute the mic for the screen?
Huh?
Shall we mute the mic?
Probably. They do. This happened to me last time I tried to present. It was like, okay, I don't want to work. Like, thank you. Okay, well, more people are starting to filter in. This actually gives me a little more time. So hello, go ahead and get yourself cozy and settled. The Wi-Fi had better work. And if it doesn't, if my PowerPoint doesn't work, I actually have it on my phone. So if y'all want any of the information, feel free to hit me up after the panel, and I will give you the Google link to the Google Slides with the PowerPoint as well as all of the information on it. This better work or I'm going to be really mad. All right, first things first, we're going to talk about what the fashion actually is, and I also want to go into kind of their roots a little bit. Lolita Fashion is known for its intricate and doll-like look. It's a street fashion and subculture that originated in Japan in the early 80s and 90s, which it actually started more in the late 70s at a time when women were expected to, right after they got out of college, to get married, get settled down, have kids, be a wife and a homemaker. However, like, there were women who didn't want that at all, and bear in mind too, like, Lolita looks nothing today like it did back then. And even it was a lot more frumpy, and it's not quite as intricate as it is now, but it was actually seen as a man repellent. And it worked. It worked. Like, men saw women dress like that, and they didn't want to didn't want to go near them. They didn't want to date them because they thought that these women were weird and strange, and these women were like, good, because we don't feel like dating right now. And such, the fashion began slowly moving toward the West, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, especially when Angelic Pretty and Baby the Star Shine Bright became a thing, and that's when we started to get old school, and then the fashion slowly began to evolve to what it is today. And the fashion was actually inspired by 18th and 19th century European fashion, as well as contemporary fashion trends and culture. Includes a large variety of substyles and generally is worn by women. However, I do know of men who wear the fashion, who are actively in the fashion, and who love the fashion, and who look just absolutely flawless. It is known for being hyper femme, kawaii, or like just cute culture in general. Youth and elegance. The name Lolita itself has unknown origins, but it is in no way associated with the book at all. So please, if you think that, please get that out of your head right now. Because like the Japanese, they didn't know the connotation of the name. They just thought it was cute. And so the name just stuck. And unfortunately with it, it has a very negative connotation in the West because of what it's called. Like people hear it, they automatically assume it has something to do with the book, which it doesn't. And also as well, it is not associated with lolicon either. Like modesty is an important concept in the fashion. It wears dresses in a relatively covered up manner, reminiscent of refined and elegant fashions of the past. And the complete outfit is known as a cord for short or a coordinate. And I'll actually, because this is actually loading up right now, I can actually show you kind of what I'm talking about. Because like when you're wearing a full coordinate, like you're generally covered up. Like nothing is showing, like you don't want to show any cleavage, you don't, like there was actually a time when anything, if you saw knees, you would get a lot of hell for it. And I remember those times too. But this one thing I was saying, just that times change. Oh, is there an access code for the internet? Well, crud. Okay.
You have like a hotspot on your phone?
I do have a hotspot on my phone. Thank you guys for being patient while I figure out the lovely, lovely internet issues. I do have a hotspot on my phone, so we'll just do that instead, but we'll keep on going while I get that figured out. And also feel free to ask any questions at any time, because I'm going to be going over a lot of information, so if anything pops into your head, feel free to raise your hand. Okay. We're going to go into a little bit about the culture as well. There are rules to follow to kind of match the aesthetic. However, like with anything, rules can actually be bent. Okay, it's not going to work. Oh my goodness. Oh, there we go. We're going to get this working, I promise. Okay, anyway, some rules can be bent with experience. However, there are certain rules that are non-negotiable as well. The silhouette is like one of the rules that cannot be bent at all. Like you have to have like a certain type of silhouette, and depending on and I'm going to be going into this later, there are 2 different types of petticoats that you can get. Oh, all right, we got it connected. Yay! Yay! I think we can do it. No, oh my goodness, why? Oh, every time. Every time. Thank you guys for being so patient. I really appreciate it. Because anytime we're dealing with computers, something always manages to go wrong.
Patience is a virtue.
Yes, it is. Oh my, okay. We'll get this working one way or another. Well, that's connecting. All right, now we're going to go ahead and continue on while that is hopefully connecting. No, depending on where you live, you can be a solitary, or you can also join a community. Like here in DFW, we have a very large, very, very active community. So if you want to find us, like look up Metroplex Lolitas on Facebook and you will find us. Like we have a meetup practically every weekend. And joining a community, along with those lines as well, joining a community has many benefits, which includes making new friends with like-minded interests, visiting new places, and gaining inspiration from others' coordinates. And this is actually something I personally found as well. Like, I get really inspired by seeing friends who have the same sort of dress that I do and just get different ideas from that. And, okay, it's not going to work. All right, this is fine. But like I said, if y'all want my PowerPoint, feel free to talk to me after the panel, and I'll be more than happy to give it to you. And while the fashion is modest, it is loud and very in your face at the same time, especially if you're wearing more sweet or like anything OTT, which is for over the top. And just even no matter what you're wearing, because it's so different and so out of the norm, people are going to look at you no matter what. And you also have to have a certain amount of confidence in order to wear the fashion. And I will also say as well, like, it is, and on that note, it's also a huge confidence booster as well. Like the hyper feminine nature of Lolita isn't the norm. As we get older, this type of dress is regularly in regular society is typically abandoned in favor of mature styles that fit into adult world. This is actually something else I really wanted to touch on as well, because this is something I have experienced as well as someone in my early 30s. There are girls who literally believe that after 25, you're too old to wear Lolita. You're too old to wear sweets. And I'm pretty sure you've heard this as well. Yeah, you know, like for older girls who wear sweets, we hear it all the time. It's like, you're too old for that. Why don't you move to Granny Classic? Why don't you move to Gothic? I'm like, no, I like sweet. Like, you can pry my sweet print, you can pry my chocolate prints out of my cold dead hands. You can pry my AP sweet out of my cold dead hands. It's all in a matter of like how you present yourself as well. Like this fashion, like I was saying earlier, this fashion doesn't cater to the male gaze at all. The sexual characteristics of typical Western fashion take a back seat to the hyper-feminine aesthetic of the fashion. And typically this fashion is worn for the person wearing it and not for anybody else. And that is actually something I also really want to hammer on home too. Especially if you lack confidence issues, and wearing it out for the first time can also be extremely daunting and scary at the same time. And you will have to get used to people looking at you. But at the same time, like, it's also, oh, how do I word this? Like, it feels like when you put on that dress and you put on that petticoat, it kind of feels like armor. At least for me, and it feels like I'm putting on armor, like nothing can touch me. Nothing can harm me. I don't care if you think I look weird. I don't care what you're gonna say. We're gonna go ahead and move into one of my favorite parts, which is the styles and sub-styles. There are three main types, which are sweet, which is like what I'm wearing, which are like pastels, really cute themes with cakes, cute animals, chocolate, cookies, baked goods, like whatever you can really think of. Classic, which include like more mature type of prints and more mature type of themes. And we're going to be going into that when we talk about the different brands. Or Gothic, which includes like dark colors with Gothic or aristocratic sort of themes. And there are a lot of different sub-styles as well, which include like sailor, country, pirate, old school, hime, which is princess, Guro, Shiro and Kuro, which are white and like all white or all black, steampunk, punk, wa, gi, aristocrat, so on and so forth. It's highly encouraged to stick to a basic style as a beginner. However, as you get more experienced, you can also mix styles as you want. Like, I personally really like mixing sweet and classic. Like, I'll do more of like a classic sweet, or you could also do more like a classic Gothic. I wish I could show those. We're gonna go into brands. So there's so many different types, and this is also something I want to mention too. Like, I know, like for a lot of beginners, you believe that all you brand is it. Like Angelic, like I know the three main ones that really come to mind are probably Angelic Pretty, Baby the Stars Shine Bright, and Alice and the Pirates. However, you don't have to have the big name brands to be a Lolita, especially if you're more into classic and you might like Innocent World, or if you're more plus size, like Metamorphose has been killing it with plus size prints lately. There's also Triple Fortune, Moima Moitié, Atelier Perio, Victorian Maiden, Julia as Justine. There's also a lot of shops on Taobao that do custom sizing as well as their own prints, and there's a lot of indie brands as well. Like Hanuli, she just did a Kickstarter for a T-length tarot dress. Lady Sloth also does custom sizing, and so does Glitter Tail and Fan Plus Friend. There's also Body Line, which is more for the financially conscious, and you can find really cheap Body Line secondhand, and so on and so forth. Please work. Okay, we're gonna go into the silhouette. Like, there's two different types. There's A-line and there's cupcake. I am wearing a cupcake because that's what fits the type of dress. But if you're wearing more of like a classic type of dress, like one from, say, Mary Magdalene or Innocent World, it may have like more of an A-line. So it's better to have both those types of petticoats in your wardrobe, depending on what you like and what you have in your wardrobe. And stay away, and stay away, really quick too, stay away from the square dancing petticoats on Amazon. They are not they will not work. They are not the right type of silhouette or structure that you would want. We're gonna go into one of my favorite parts, which is innerwear and outerwear and main pieces. I'll mention the petticoat. A lot of us will wear like bloomers or safety shorts underneath our dresses, especially for breezy days or should something unfortunate happen. And shapewear is also okay as well. Like, main pieces are like the main focus point of your outfit, which is like a JSK, like what I'm wearing right now, a one piece or an OP, a skirt. Salopettes are also okay. However, they are used more for casual wear. Like, acceptable skirt length are knee length or slightly longer, and you can also go for T length, which hit more at the ankle. Tops, like blouses, are highly, highly, highly encouraged, and for the most part, they are required because it's better you don't show your shoulders. Like, it's because I know we're in Texas, especially in the summer heat. You can also wear instead of a blouse, you can wear a light bolero or a light cardigan over a dress, over a JSK instead of a blouse. I have done that many, many, many times. And there are so many different types of blouses, including like Peter Pan, high collar. I'm wearing more of a cutso, which is made out of like more of a cotton type of material, typically made out of more cotton type material, and they're not quite as formal. Headwear is also a must-have as well. Wigs are not a requirement. You don't have to have them. I know a lot of people really, especially beginners, like the little mini top hats. Use those with caution because they have to be corded well in order for them to work. You can keep it very simple. Like, you can use like berets, head bows, hats, bows, bonnets, boater hats. Rectangle headwear is also okay, but it's more used for, depending on what it is, for more Gothic or for old school. Tricorns, crowns, veils are also good, but they're good for like really themed coordinates. Socks, ankle socks are okay. Knee socks, OTKs, which are over the knee, and tights. I'll probably show you afterward. I'm wearing more right under the knee socks. And shoes, they also vary in range and style depending on what you're wearing. Tea parties are the most common, with or without heels. Boots, platforms, and Oxfords, chunky Mary Janes, and Rocky Horse shoes are more common for old school. Please don't use sneakers or ballet flats. Like, for more streetwear, like if you wanted to use more of like the YRKs or something like that and you have more experience, that's fine. But as a beginner, it's better to go ahead and stick with the more traditional type of shoes. And if you're more interested in classic or Gothic, you actually can find like Oxfords and the like you might be able to find them at the thrift store. Outerwear and wigs are also really good for color blocking as well. I mentioned boleros and cardigans can be worn over a JSK without a blouse. Jackets, coats, capes, cloaks, and wraps, great for the summer. Wigs are not required, but they are really good to really help coordinate an outfit and to really just bring the whole thing together. Like, I'm going to use myself as another example. Like, I actually have like long, dark red hair underneath my wig. And unfortunately, I know my hair would not work with a lot of what I personally wear. So I have a wide variety of, and I'm also a cosplayer as well, so I have a wide variety of wigs that you can choose from. Like, you can also, at times, find really good wigs on Amazon. I found this wig on Amazon, and I just cut the bangs. You just have to know where to look. Like, especially as a beginner, avoid unnatural colors. Offer more natural colored wigs that will match with what you're wearing. Bags and jewelry. Purses are also essential, like a bolero and cardigan, also good for color blocking. Watch for stuffed animal bags. They don't hold a lot. Like, I know like the Baby Star Shine Bright Usakumyas, they are very, very popular. I have a few myself, but all they hold is your credit card and a lipstick. That's it. So you're going to want to have another bag with you. Like, I brought one of my big bags that I got to show you today. Like, and it holds a lot. And it also matches more with what I'm wearing. And it's the same thing with jewelry as well. Like, it adds detail as well as also to the cohesion of an outfit. Like rings, bracelets, wrist cuffs, necklaces, earrings, buttons. Like, I have an affinity for enamels. And they add a lot more detail. And most importantly, just have fun with it. Like, especially if you're working more with a theme of an outfit. Like, I bought a few things of what I'm wearing today in Artist Alley. So, like, if you know what to look for, you can find some really, really, really cool stuff at conventions. Like, my little pancake ring, I bought it at a convention a while back because I knew one day I would own this dress. So you kind of have an idea of what you like, and while you're here, look in Artist Alley as well. Like, there's some amazing jewelry vendors here. So go support them as well. That was really distracting. Thank you, Mr. Pirate. This is something that is we're about to go into something that is so super important, that is dressing for your body type. Know your measurements. Especially know your bust and your waist in inches and in centimeters. However, it is a lot better to know your measurements in centimeters. Look for dresses, blouses, and skirts with shirring that give extra give. Like, there are multiple types of shirring. Full, which is all the way around. Full back, which is like what I have with this one. Half back, or half shirring, which only has like half, or no shirring at all. Like, the no shirring dresses are a lot harder to get into unless you're like maybe that big. And you also have to, especially if you're going to be wearing one pieces, you also have to be really aware of your shoulders as well. And also know your body type. And this is especially important in knowing what cuts will look the best. Like, my wife, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, she is more of an hourglass. So she can wear dropped waist JSKs and dresses, whereas like I'm more of a pear shape. And drop waist looks horrible on me. But yet I can wear empire waist no problem, but empire waist look horrible on her. So it's all about also knowing your body type as well and knowing what kind of silhouettes will look the best on you as well. I know that there are a lot of plus-size girls who get discouraged on wanting to get into the fashion and think like, oh, I'm too big. I will never be able to fit into it. I was there at one time. And it is especially important for plus-size Lolitas to know your measurements. Like, go for pieces that are at least 4 to 5 centimeters larger than your max measurements, especially for the bust and waist, as this will allow for some wiggle room. Look for cuts that are flattering for your body, and that way you can also avoid this thing that we call boob loaf. Because, like, if a dress and if a cut isn't flattering on you, like, it will give you that, it could very well give you that dreaded boob loaf, where it look like you have just one boob, and that's it. And it just doesn't look very good. For Lolitas with larger busts, avoid dresses with shirring all the way around because it can and does, unfortunately, cause boob loaf. Don't try and squeeze into dresses that don't fit. And don't try to squeeze into skirts that don't fit. Because like if you buy a dress or a skirt with intention of altering it and you can't find anyone to alter for you, like avoid the heartbreak and just don't do it. It's not fun. It's unfortunately happened to me multiple times. And if need be, look for companies that do custom sizing. Like there are some Taobao shops that will do it. Lady Sloth will do it. Dolby, she is on Etsy. Fan Plus Friend, Glitter Tail is also on Etsy. They also do a lot of custom sizing. There are a lot of different brands that will actually do custom sizing. You just need to look. Like building a cohesive wardrobe is also very important. Like it's good to have like one print OP or JSK, 2 solid JSK, skirts, 2 skirts, a petticoat, 1 pair of comfortable or versatile shoes, 1 versatile purse, at least 3 blouses, as many socks, tights, headwear, and accessories as you can that all fit like one cohesive sort of style. And go for complementary colors depending on your style. Especially as a beginner, incorporate the KISS method, which in layman's terms is keep it simple, silly. Like you don't have to go like quite as over the top as I do. Like I've been wearing this fashion for a long time and I like being more over the top, whereas like you might like something a little bit more simple, especially starting out, like maybe just like having a wig and a head bow, like that might, or is the wig and a beret, that might be enough for you. Tips for DIY, you can also DIY your own jewelry and wrist cuffs as well, if you so choose to do that. Go, turn please. Now my phone is not wanting to work. Okay. Well, now we're going to go into what to avoid. I'm pretty sure if you have been around the community for a while, you have heard the term of Ida. It is a term that is used in the Lolita community, which derived from Ita, which translates to painful. And it means that someone is wearing a poorly done coordinate that's painful to look at. Mixing too many themes, colors, and styles in one outfit, or wearing a dress made of poor material. Wearing brand does not automatically make a good cord, whereas it's the same thing with handmade. You can make your own dresses. I've got a really good friend here in the community who makes all of her dresses, and she has her own shop, and she also does custom sizing as well. And avoid animal appendages unless you know what you're doing, like ears, paws, tails. Like ears are fine as long as you know what you're doing. But like paws and tails and stuff like that, try to avoid them at all costs. And avoid shiny party store and cosplay wigs that aren't properly styled, or cut shiny costume dresses, stiff lace, anything that doesn't fit, unkempt hair, or bad face and bad hygiene and cutting corners. Where to buy? Like, there's a lot of places that you could buy, and it's so much easier than it is now, than it used to be. Because before, like, you had to rely on, like, lace market sales or getting lucky and having a seller over in Japan who could help you buy stuff. You can buy directly from the brands. There is a website called Lace Market, where I get a lot of my stuff, and it's basically like an eBay for Lolitas. Local swap meets, you can wheel and deal there as much as you want. Mercari and Depop, you might be able to find good luck there sometimes. Taobao, Facebook sales groups, Wonderwell, Closet Child, Y Auctions, Etsy. Amazon actually does have some good stuff there, mainly for blouses and shoes. You just have to look. The shoes I am actually wearing today actually came from Amazon. You just have to know what to look for. Like for blouses, they actually have a shop there called Smiling Angel, and I highly recommend their blouses. They're very comfortable. And especially as a beginner, look for and join online and local communities. It is a great way to gain information, support, court inspiration, and friendships. On Facebook, you can go to Closet of Frills, where Lolitas will post their daily outfits. So you can go and get inspiration from there. Ruffle Chat, Big Sisters of Lolita Fashion, you can actually go there and ask questions from more experienced Lolitas. Lolita Updates, which will actually talk about like what's coming out from the big brands or from Taobao. Instagram is also a really good place to look. There's also communities on Discord. And I know I mentioned our local comm here in Dallas. We are the Metroplex EGL community on Facebook. So if you would like to come check us out, we are a very, very, very active community, and we honestly love helping new people. So if you want to join and you're wanting to kind of dip your toe in, feel free to come in, ask questions, come to a meetup, kind of get to know everybody and meet everybody. And we'll love to. Yes, ma'am. No, you're good. It is the Metroplex EGL community on Facebook. Of course. And when you go, speaking of that, when you join a community and go to a meetup, dress for the occasion. Depending on the sort of meetup you're going to, casual or regular is okay, as long as you're just dressed a little bit nicer. However, for more formal events such as brand tea parties, OTT is more acceptable. But if you're going to a brand tea party, it is a lot more polite to actually wear the brand of the tea party that you're going to. Yeah, come on in, you're good. And this is something that is really hard, I know, for a lot of people, and it's something that took me a long time to figure out, is how to handle positive and negative attention and how to respond to it. It's okay to say no. It is absolutely okay to say no. If someone wants to take your picture and you don't feel comfortable with that, you can tell them no. If you have anxiety, you don't have to post your coordinates on public spaces like Instagram, Discord, whatever. Especially if you post on CGL, on Instagram or Closet of Frills, avoid CGL if at all possible. Especially if you have a lot of anxiety, try to avoid it if you can. And despite the belief that such is the case, there is no age limit or size limit in participating in the fashion. And this is something I hear a lot, especially as someone who used to be more on the plus size of Lolita, and as someone who is older, it is something I absolutely cannot stress enough. Like, you don't have to be a twig in order to be in this fashion. I see plus size girls who look phenomenal, and they look absolutely beautiful. Whereas, like, I see girls who are really skinny who don't look good at all, and they haven't been able to court properly. It's just all a matter in your coordination and how you carry yourself. And I will also say too, like in our comm here in Dallas, a lot of us are older. A lot of us are in our mid-20s to our early to mid-30s. So we are an older community as well. And unfortunately, I wish that this is something I didn't have to touch on, but it is. There are people who wear the fashion for fetishization purposes, such as very frowned upon in our community. Particularly if someone is open about it. If something like this does happen and it makes you uncomfortable, speak up and find someone that you trust. If someone asks for your picture, you have the right to say no. Unfortunately, catcalling does happen, and if you are able to, politely ask them to stop. Such as the same for people asking to taking pictures without your permission. As unfortunately, that will happen, and it does happen a lot. Just because someone is dressed differently doesn't mean that basic rules of society get thrown out the window. They are entitled to their own space and privacy, and we are not dressed for others' entertainment. And that is, especially because, like, I see a lot of cosplayers here. I'm a cosplayer myself. And being involved in both communities and being involved in both communities for as long as I have, that is something that you have to learn how to deal with. And it is hard. Because unfortunately, there are people who go into our safer workspaces, and we also do have minors in the community, and we are very, very protective of our minors in the community as well. And just once again, like if you see somebody taking a picture of you without your permission and you don't like it, you can ask them to delete it. You can tell them no. And it's the same thing with anything else. Like proper decorum, just because you are dressed differently, does not give anybody the right to lay hands on you, to be rude to you, to make any comment, any sort of comments whatsoever, nothing. The point is like knowing your limits, knowing your boundaries, and knowing when to tell someone to stop and to tell them no. And that is the other good thing about being in a community. We travel in packs. So we all look out for each other. I wish I could show this comic that I found, but if y'all want my PowerPoint after so you can actually see it with all the actual information, I'll be happy to give it to you after. It also includes all of my references that I use, as well as my personal social media. So I'm going to go ahead, and that's it. I'm going to go ahead and open up to questions. Yes?
What would you best recommend for beginners when Gothic?
Here, do you want to? We actually have a microphone up here. That way, actually, everyone can hear you. Like, right over here. Because that's actually a really, really good question.
What would you best recommend for beginners if we're combining Gothic with Lolita?
That's actually really easy, especially because there's actually a particular dress that I can automatically think of off the top of my head from Innocent World called Mansion Roses, and particularly in the black colorway. Like, it's just black and gray, and it has more of like a flower sort of motif. Like if you wanted to combine like classic with more Gothic, you can just do like black Oxfords with more toned down like eau de quais or tights. You can maybe add like a cute little boater, like, or you can, if you've just got like a straight up Gothic dress, like mix it up with the accessories. Like if you could also, like for classic, like you can also possibly do like a bonnet or a beret to kind of make it more classic. It's one of those things like just have fun with it and just kind of play around with the accessories. It's like it's all in the accessories that really make it into classic Gothic, whatever. Yes. Yeah. You're good. It's all good. You are all good. Hello, hello.
So I actually had a couple of questions.
Yes.
That are kind of related. So first, when getting into Lolita, I'm obviously in a wheelchair, so I was wondering if you have any suggestions for how I might be able to still incorporate having a good silhouette while sitting down. I don't know if this is something that you'd know the answer to, but I know that I've seen a lot of like Lolita photo shoots with like thrones and things like that, so I was wondering how one would like incorporate that while sitting down.
That's actually pretty easy. I have seen other Lolitas who are in wheelchairs, and they are able to still get the silhouette while in a wheelchair. They'll just wear the petticoat while they're in the chair. Like no matter what, like you'll still have that sort of silhouette, but it won't be seen because you're sitting down. But the point is like still having that visible poof.
My second question was, this is more related to creating accessories, because I want to accessorize my wheelchair to look cuter whenever I'm wearing outfits. So I was wondering if you had any suggestions on like materials for making accessories.
Have fun with it. Like I actually have a friend who wears Lolita and also is in a wheelchair during a convention usually. And she actually decorated her chair with like fake florals from like a floral department because she wears more like just Gothic and classic. So she actually decorated her chair to match her coordinate. So if you're wanting to wear more sweet, like maybe you could add like ribbons, and you can find like really cute like fuzzy accessories like this on Etsy or in Artist Alley, and then you can just incorporate it into your wheelchair that way.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Anyone else have any questions? It's like we still got plenty of time. We still have plenty of time, y'all. Or if you also have any questions for me, like my experiences as a Lolita and who's been in for a long time, and I've also been on the more, like I mentioned before, on the higher end of plus size, and I'm also still considered to be plus size, but also on the lower end of plus size as well. Yes.
Sorry. How do you know what best suits your own body type?
Trying things on, mostly. Because I know that there have been dresses that I knew would fit my measurements. Like this one Alice in the Pirate dress, I could not remember the print name of it off the top of my head, but it would fit me measurement-wise. However, it was really cut weird. Like it just cut like right here, like really just like right, and it felt like right here on me. And it's a matter of trying things on. Like, especially, just waist are always really good for people normally. However, like if you have like a larger bust, like drop waist look really good on people with larger busts. Same with just waist. If you're more pear like me, like Empire waist is really good. It's just knowing your body type and trying things on. And if it doesn't work, you know it doesn't work, and that's okay. Just move on and try something else. Like, and especially for like come on. And like for plus size girls as well, especially if you like more of the Gothic sort of motifs, I also recommend Hanuli as well. Like the cool thing about Hanuli is like all of her dresses she makes in multiple sizes. as well as there are buttons on the straps, so you can also lower the straps, especially like if it fits weird on you where it is, you can either heighten the straps or you can lower the straps. That way it'll actually sit on you better. So that's also another option that you could look into.
I have two.
Yes.
So I noticed sometimes there are like Lolita couples with a female and a male version. Is the male version called something differently?
Yes, it is. It's actually called OG. And my wife is usually my OG accessory. Sadly, she's not here. She just wasn't feeling it, so she's not here tonight. But yes, like, and I had examples on my PowerPoint, and yet it chose not to work. But OG, like, think in aesthetic, kind of like CL Phantom Hive from Black Butler. That's probably the best way that I can describe it, that I think that y'all would be able to properly visualize it. And there's also Aristocrat as well, which is more mature than OG. And trying to think of the best way to describe it. It kind of has that not really Sebastian type of aesthetic, but kind of close. Kind of like gentlemanly? Yeah, it's more gentlemanly. And it's older than what OG tends to be. Like, OG a lot of the time tends to incorporate a lot of shorts, and it's more inspired by Victorian boys' fashion of the 1800s. So, like, whereas OG looks more younger and more boyish, Aristocrat, whether male or female, tends to be a little bit older. And, like, Aristocrat for men, like, or women, usually incorporates pants. And for women, it could also include, like, T-length or, like, ankle-length dresses.
And my second question is, what is your favorite type of, like, genre or, like, type,
Sweet.
I guess? Yeah.
Sweet. I'm very, very much a sweet girl. I've always been a sweet girl. Like, I very lovingly call myself a choco slut. Like, I absolutely love chocolate prints. I've always loved chocolate prints. So, like, that's the type of print that I usually gravitate toward, even though I'm wearing pancakes and waffles today. Thank you, Mr. Pirate.
Well, thank you. You look really cute today.
Oh, thank you.
I just wanted to ask, what got you into Lolita Fashion, as well as do you ever try to incorporate like bits or aesthetics to it into like casual wear?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Like what got you? Like, can you hear me?
You can put your mask down. That way I can actually understand you a little bit better.
I was wondering what got you into Lolita Fashion, as well as if you ever tried to incorporate like any bits or aesthetics of it into like casual wear.
Yes, I have. Because I have a lot of like really cute, really fun jewelry, and I also tend to wear it's called like the quirky older sister version of Lolita called Otome. So like I like to incorporate like some of my really fun jewelry into my everyday wear, and I will also wear Otome as well. And you don't have to wear a petticoat with Otome if you don't want to, but you can. And Otome is more quirky and like it's not as matchy as Lolita. Like you can actually experiment a little bit more. And what actually got me into the fashion in the first place, I'm pretty sure it was 2007 when Angelic Pretty's Chess Chocolate came out. That's what got me in brown. That's what specifically got me into the fashions. I fell head over heels for that print, and I finally got that print, and it's one of my absolute favorites still to this day. And I know for a lot of people, they have like that one print that got them into the fashion in the first place. And it's such a good feeling when you actually are able to get your hands on it and be able to court it in your own way. You're good. It's like, I want y'all to ask questions. It's okay.
So, I haven't really fully gotten into Lolita yet, but I've been thinking that I might benefit from just learning how to make and sew my own cords. That might be cheaper for me because I don't have a lot of money. But when making them, I don't know like what designs would versus wouldn't count as Lolita. Like, what if I make a dress and I think that it looks Lolita, but it completely is not the subcategory that I wanted to go for? Or how would I be able to distinguish what is versus isn't, and what I make and what outfits I coordinate?
What I would actually recommend is there actually is a Facebook group specifically for seamstresses in the fashion. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, and I'll look it up. But I would try there because you can get a lot of really good information on there. There's actually patterns from a brand called Otome no Sewing, and they have a lot, and also from the Lolita Bibles, but there are a lot of different patterns on there that you can use as well, and people have scanned them, so you can find them on Pinterest or just anywhere online. You just have to know where to look. Study brands in general and how dresses are cut. Look at the silhouette, see how they're sewn together. I could also give you the TikTok of a really good friend of mine. She actually makes her own dresses. She made one for me as well. And I can get you in contact with her through her TikTok, and she could probably help you more with that side of it, because she actually does make all of her own dresses.
That would be really helpful.
Yeah, no, it's not a problem. I know Haley would be absolutely tickled to be able to help somebody else.
Thank you. If no one else has a question, I did have another one.
Go for it.
So with Lolita, I know that it does mean a lot to a lot of people, and have with the history of Lolita, for a lot of people, it represents standing up against misogyny, and that's how a lot of it originated. So getting into Lolita as a guy, I want to approach that with a lot of respect. Is there anything I should avoid doing?
I will say too, like, we appreciate that. Like, we have guys in the community, and it's all about, and you're right, it's all about just coming in just with basic respect. Like, unfortunately, we had an older gentleman in our community who came off as really, how do I word this, creepy, and like acting like he wasn't there for the right intentions. So if you come in with good intentions and like make way for your intentions, and like let the community know that, like, no, I want to do this properly, I want to learn, and I want to do this right, that will earn you a lot of brownie points and a lot of respect. Especially because you're right, like, for this fashion was really created as a standing ground against misogyny. You were right on that. And unfortunately, like, in this community, like, we can be very, how do I word this, distrustful of men wanting to come into our communities, because especially in the past few years, we have had a lot of not so tasteful communities like infiltrating our communities. So as long as you come in with respect and like just reiterate that, like, no, I want to do this right, I want to learn, and I want to do this correctly, that's all you need to do.
Thank you.
Yes. Your cosplay is amazing, by the way.
Thank you. So I was wondering if you could talk more about the rules regarding covering your shoulders and like what shoes to wear.
Yes, I can. Like, when covering your covering your shoulders is actually the easy part, because like you can wear like short sleeve like blouses, boleros, cardigans, whatever. Just as long as your shoulders are covered, you're fine. And like I mentioned before too, like especially with it being in Texas and it gets really, really hot during the summer, and there are times when you just don't want to wear a blouse because you don't want to sweat and potentially ruin it. Like short sleeve boleros and cardigans are also acceptable. Like Angelic Pretty and Baby have some really cute like short sleeve cardigans that you can wear over your dresses as to not to ruin them with sweat stains as well. As for shoes, like it really ultimately depends on what kind of a style that you are going for. Like if you're going for more sweet, like tea parties are acceptable, like shoes with bows on them, like whether heels or flats, as long as they fit like a certain type of aesthetic. If you're wearing Gothic, like Oxfords are okay, and you can actually find Oxfords at any thrift store. I know that a while back there were some strappy Steve Madden shoes that had come out at Target, and they got to be really, really popular for Gothic Lolitas. So, like, I wear Gothic as well, and I actually have a pair of those shoes as well, and I've worn them in some of my own courts. It's just all a matter of knowing what to look for and what kind of aesthetic that you're wanting to go for. Just no tennis, like, I can't reiterate this enough, like, no ballet flats, no tennis shoes. They just don't hold the right type of look. But if you're going for more of like a street, like if you have more experience and you're going for more of like a streetwear type of cord, like YRUs and like the YRU platforms, those are okay. For if you're wanting to go for more like old school or for like more Gothic, like if you wanted the thick Mary Janes, like the Demonias, those are also fine, but it just depends on the kind of Demonias that you're wanting to use. Like the ones that go up to the knee and they have like these silver buckles on them, those are typically not as well received, but it just would depend on how you cord them if you wanted to try to incorporate them. No problem. Yes. Yeah, feel free to lift it up.
Sure. Have you seen Lolita Fashion? You mentioned at Target, maybe a surprising place. Other surprising places like high fashion, like a runway in Paris, that kind of thing, something noteworthy?
Like what's really funny is like there were actually blouses that were going around in the community around 6 months ago. Like at Target, like there were blouses that had Peter Pan collars and the community was going nuts over them. Like, oh my God, like Target, you're actually releasing Peter Pan collar blouses. What is this? And everyone went out to go get them. And Forever 21 actually did that for a little while too. I've seen a couple of pieces that I think were more inspired by Lolita and high fashion, but I don't remember what brands they actually were off the top of my head. But I know that I've seen Katy Perry actually wear it. Like the drag queen Alaska has also worn has also kind of sort of worn it. Probably one of the most notable ones is Melanie Martinez. Because it's been really weird to see like pop stars and drag queens actually like and Scaredy Cat is another drag queen that I've just now thought of. He also wears Lolita as well in his drag. I'm still open for questions, y'all. Y'all don't have to be scared of me. I don't bite.
So I know that there are a lot of rules for like fashion and clothing for Lolita, but are there any like hard do's and don'ts for makeup?
It really depends. Like, it's typically more encouraged to actually stick with more natural looking makeup. But, like, depending on what you're doing, you can go more over the top with it if you wanted to. Like, if you're wanting to go for more of, like, a sickly sort of look, like, you can go for more, like, pinks all around the eye. You can also go from pink, like, under the eye as well to make it look like you're more tired. And it's the same thing with purple, but do it, like, just, like, very, very light. I've seen Lolitas, notably like Lovely Lore on YouTube, who have done more, like, clown-inspired makeup. But it just really depends on what you're most comfortable with. Like, me personally, like, I do a lot more natural sort of makeup. And I also really like adding freckles in with my makeup as well, because I think it's cute and I think it just adds to it. It just ultimately depends on what you're most comfortable with.
I also did have another question, which was, do you have any suggestions for where to find Ouija outfits or OG?
How to find what?
Do you have any suggestions on where to find OG outfits?
Fan Plus Friend. Honestly, I would highly recommend like Fan Plus Friend and Taobao for OG. Especially Fan Plus Friend because they do offer custom sizing. And I know that they have some really nice sets on there right now. So that's where I would personally send you.
Thank you.
So I don't know if this question was asked yet, but what's your most favorite Lolita look you've ever done?
Oh, that's really hard. That is really, really hard. Actually, if I'm being perfectly honest, probably the one that I'm wearing today. Because, like, I actually added a few pieces that I'm wearing today, like from Shoujo Mansa down over here in Artist Alley. And, like, this is actually one of the prints that I wanted the most. And I unfortunately missed out on the MTO when it came out because my cat was in and out of the animal hospital. But my wife surprised me with it for Christmas last year. So I've been wearing it a lot. Thank you. But honestly, probably this. If I'm being perfectly honest, probably this one. This is probably one of my favorite ones that I've ever done. And I think one of my other favorite ones that I've done was probably when I went to go see Book of Mormon. And I wore the Baby Starshine Bright Princess Shearing dress in black. And I did a really tongue-in-cheek play on words and dressed like a Lolita Mormon for the show. And probably my favorite little part of that cord was wearing a pin that said, "Not today, Satan." That one was a lot of fun, and it got a lot of giggles out of people. Like, I think that and probably all of the coordinates I have worn for Hanuli's A Full Moon Night. Because that dress is it's so simple, but at the same time, it's so beautiful and elegant, and it doesn't need all that much. Like, there are times when I like going more OTT sweet like this, but there are other times when I just like to go more just like simple and classic and pretty. It just really ultimately depends on my mood. Oh, another one too. I'm also really into Italia, and we have a dress called Wonder Queen in blue, and I actually did a coordinate inspired by King Alfred for it. So I did a Spade King inspired coordinate with Wonder Queen. That one was a lot of. I'll show it to you after the panel. That one was a lot of fun for me to do.
Do you have any resources on like different categories or subcategories of the fashion? Like you mentioned suite and whatnot, and you also mentioned different like dress styles. Are there any good resources to look into?
Oh, yes. There's a lot of really good resources, and I wish my PowerPoint would have worked because I also, in my resources, I link a lot of really good resources that I have also used, like when I first started getting into the fashion. And they really break down like all of the different styles and sub-styles, as well as the anatomy of a coordinate, where to buy, how to build a capsule wardrobe. Especially starting out, like building a capsule wardrobe is so important. And what I will, and if y'all want the PowerPoint, let me know, and I'll take down emails. I'll be more than happy to send it to you. That way y'all can have those resources as well. And especially if you're just starting out and you like this and this and this and this and this, like just kind of narrow down what you like the best and what colors that you feel like you can work with the easiest and the most, especially just starting out. Like maybe start out with 1 or 2 base colors, like start out with like sacks, which is like a light blue and pink. Or just start, if you wanted to go more gothic, just start out with like maybe blacks and like a dark blue or a burgundy. It's just also like really looking and seeing what's out there and seeing what you like and what you don't like. And this is one thing that I have to reiterate too, like you don't have to wear prints if you don't want to. If you don't like prints, you don't have to wear them. Like me, like I love big, loud, in-your-face prints, but my wife really doesn't. So she wears more, she's far more comfortable in OG and things that are more toned down. But I'll be more than happy to give you those resources. I'm open to more questions. Does anyone else have any more questions? We still have about 20 minutes. Y'all don't have to be so scared.
What was your first Lolita dress that you ever did?
Oh, God. This is embarrassing to admit. Oh, God, this is so embarrassing to admit. One of my very first dresses was actually a I hate admitting this, was a replica of Angelic Pretty Sugary Dream Carnival in like that really dark blue. I couldn't court it at all. And then I realized replicas are bad. And like I was a babby Lolita at the time, and so and it was at a time when I thought like, oh, nothing will fit me. Like I was trying to get just whatever I could get my hands on that would actually fit me. And I also had a dress on body line, and it was a light blue macaron dress. Oh, that was my very first cord, and I thank God I lost the pictures of them, as it was a train wreck disaster. And especially just starting out, please, for the love of God, don't do replicas, because it is essentially stealing from the artist. And like even though like Lolita is a lot more popular than it used to be, at the same time, all of the companies who do it and design all these dresses, they're still small. And even if you find like that, if you have a dream dress that you can't fit into, don't go for a replica. If you wanted to try and get it altered, just try and get it altered instead. Just don't go for replicas. You got a question?
So, besides conventions and your meetups, do you wear Lolita Fashion like anywhere else?
I do. I actually wear it out and about just when I feel like it. Like, we actually have season passes for Fair Park. So I will dress up for whatever show that I'm going to. Like, when we went to go see Hamilton, I actually wore a print called Victorian Letter by Angelic Pretty, and I actually did a coordinate more inspired by Hamilton. I mentioned the one I did for Book of Mormon, where I did like the more like tongue-in-cheek type of like going as a Lolita Mormon. I wore Diner Doll and did something more inspired by Waitress when we went to go see Waitress. I've also I wear Lolita sometimes when I feel like it. Like, and I'll just wear something more toned down and casual if I just want to get cute and go to the grocery store, just get cute and go to the square, just hang out and go and have a right day. There have been many, many times I'll just wear like a more toned down cord, just go hang out hang out at a coffee shop and just go right for a few hours. It's like, you don't have to have a special occasion to wear the fashion. Like, just wear it whenever you want to and whenever you feel the most comfortable to.
Do you ever get, like, are you more hesitant to wear outside of conventions or meetups?
I used to be. I absolutely used to be. Especially with someone who was more on the plus size of the fashion at the time. I was always scared of people like looking at me and judging me, especially because like not only was I bigger, at the same time it's like I was also dressed weird. But the more you wear it and the more you wear it out, the more comfortable that you get. And that's something I recommend for all I cannot talk. For all beginners as well, just get comfortable with wearing it. Like, you can actually do something simple like Metamorphose has a lot of really nice skirt that you can get for cheap. Skirts that are shirred all the way around. You can wear them more casually with like a cut sew and some cute shoes. And that way you can just get comfortable with wearing it, and then just slowly build your way up into wearing a full coordinate outside of like say a meetup or a convention.
And last question.
Yes.
For somebody who is getting into it, would you say that this would be a sort of expensive thing to get into?
It can be. It can definitely be expensive depending on what you like and what your taste is. For beginners, I highly, highly, highly recommend Bodyline, especially for blouses and shoes. Their shoes are amazing. I can walk around in them all day at a con and I am just fine. Like, as another example, I was working at a tea party for A-Con a few years ago. My wife was wearing Bodyline shoes, hauling our luggage down multiple flights of stairs just to make it in time, and her feet didn't hurt at all. Their blouses are also incredible. And there are blouses that are shirred all the way around. That way they will fit multiple sizes. You can find Bodyline for cheap, secondhand. Like, I would recommend like Lace Market or Facebook sales groups, or if you join a community like say our one here in Dallas. We have swap meets fairly frequently. You can find some really, really good deals at swap meets, especially if you want to wheel and deal and they know you and they just want to get rid of stuff. You can also find cheap brand at swap meets. Like, I know at the end of a swap meet, I have been given multiple Angelic Pretty purses, like even though like they're kind of like tattered on the handles, that can be fixed. But the point is, like, you were given like $100 purse for free. So it's just a matter of like knowing what to look for, where to look, and being in the right place at the right time.
Thank you. Who's next?
Earlier, you mentioned that sometimes the attention you get is negative. Would you mind sharing kind of your personal experience with that? My first thought would be the worst, but anything you're okay with sharing?
Yeah, like I said before, I've been wearing the fashion for, thank y'all. I've been wearing the fashion for a long time, and I have had a lot of really negative experiences while wearing it. I have been catcalled I don't know how many times. I have had people grabbing at my dresses. I've had people sneak photos of me without my permission. I've literally had a couple people ask me if they could see what was under my dress. I wish I was kidding. I've had people literally ask me to my face if I am wearing it, if I am part of some not so savory community. Because these not so savory communities have been getting involved in our safer work tags, and they're very open about it. And thus people who don't know what the fashion is all about, they automatically see people like us and they think like, oh, you're wearing it for kink, which so many of us aren't. I have been asked if I'm involved, if I'm wearing it because of the book. I've been called I don't know how many names. Like I've been asked if well, this isn't really negative, but I've been asked if I've been in a play. I've been called Little Bo Peep. When I'm wearing my strawberry prints, I'm called Strawberry Shortcake, which I'm okay with that because that's cute. I know there were girls in our community from a couple of years ago. They went to Grapevine. They were there for a house tour. They were literally treated like they were part of the attraction, and they were asked if they would carol for the other people, even though they were there taking the tour right along with them. Yeah, I wish I was kidding. I literally wish I was kidding. Like, there's at one point when some guy, like, literally, like, tried to take my wig off my head. I have had people ask me if they could buy my dress right off of me, as though I would just strip off my dress and just give it to you. And that's what I was talking about earlier with decorum. Just, it doesn't matter if you're dressed funny or weird or is out of the norm in general. It's just basic treat people with respect. Like, we wear, like, same thing for cosplay. We wear this fashion for a reason. And we don't like it when, like, it's because of negative experiences like that is a big reason why we wear the fashion, because we want to be treated, we want to be seen and treated as actual people. And just because we're dressed outside of the norm doesn't mean that you have the right to treat us any differently or treat us like we're some sort of weird sideshow. And unfortunately, it happens a lot more than you probably think it does. Like here, like conventions, we feel safe. When we're traveling around at meetups, when we're traveling in groups, we feel safe. It's generally when we're out and about, when we're by ourselves, is when we worry. I know, like, there have been times when I have had guys hitting on me because they want, like, a cute Lolita girlfriend with my wife standing right next to me. It's just all in a matter of, like, learning how to deal with it. Any more questions? We still got time, y'all. You look like you have a question. Oh. Yeah, you look like you had a question. Yeah, come for it. You're good.
I was just wondering if there's any like shops in the area that actually sell
actually sell it?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not in Dallas. There is a shop down in Houston called Kuroshiro Kawaii, and it is a shop that is owned by two trans men and it's also run by Lolitas and by people who wear Japanese street fashion. I actually went down there myself a few months ago when we went down there for the Sailor Moon pop-up, and it's phenomenal. if you ever make it down to Houston, go check it out. Like, you can also try on, you can go see whatever they have. They'll let you try on the clothes. Like, I know that there was a meta dress there that I fell in hardcore in love with, but I didn't think it would fit me because it's an OP and I was worried about my shoulders. They let me try it on. They're like, no, it'll fit you. They let me try it on. I did the ruffle shuffle. Like, oh no, she loves it. Like, but that's also the dangerous part about shops like that is like you try something on, you fall in love with it, and then you walk out with it. But yes, Kuroshiro Kawaii down in Houston. Yeah.
So, how you deal with, sometimes when you go in public.
Oh, a minute.
Hold on. So how do you deal in public with people, looking at you and they, assume that you're dressing up as a doll or maybe like a, like a little girl, how you deal with that? Because there's a lot of stigma with Lolitas. And I love it, but then, some people are really judgmental about the fashion.
I just ignore them. Quite honestly, I just ignore them. It's like quite literally, let them think what they want. I don't really care. It's like, and that's the same thing with a lot of us. Like, we don't wear this fashion for you. We wear it for us. And I know for me, like, it's a fashion that, especially as I got more into it, it really helped with my self-esteem. It really helped boost me out of, like, really deep, dark depression, especially when I'm wearing my more happy, sweet, cotton candy colored prints. It's like, it's hard to feel sad when you're dressed so cute. It's like, quite literally, it's like, life is too, like, what I'll say to that is life is too short to wear boring clothes. And if you choose to wear boring clothes and you choose to judge other people who choose not to wear boring clothes, then that's your problem. Then that's your issue. Like, we're out here just living our best lives, and I'm sorry that you don't have the guts in order to put on that petticoat and that dress and go out into the world and just rock it. And that you just feel so inclined like, oh, you're weird. Oh, you're doing this for whatever reason. It's like, no, I'm doing it for me. I'm not doing it for you. So, like, quite literally, I just ignore those people. And that's what you have to do. Because it's not for them. It's not for other people. It is specifically, it's for you. We got time for a couple more questions. Yes.
My first question is pretty quick. Do you have any social media that we could like follow you on?
I do have social media. I need to start posting on Instagram again, but my Instagram is Captain Meriderp, and that's actually my nickname as well. And my TikTok is Meriderp Cosplays. I've been posting a lot more Lolita content there as of late, but I also do kind of like an intermingling of both cosplay and Lolita. So definitely go find me there. Because I've been a lot more active on TikTok lately than I have been on Instagram.
I also had another question, which was, you mentioned how a lot of not safe for work communities are very attracted to Lolita, you know. How do you have any suggestions on avoiding attention from those communities? Because they're just really upsetting to me, and I'd rather they not look at my content or.
Then, unfortunately, what I can say to that is not posting your content online. Because, unfortunately, no matter what, if you post online, there is a chance that people like that will see it and then spread it around for whatever reason. I know, like, there's I would actually also recommend looking into Last Week Lolita News on YouTube. Our very own Tyler Willis, she's actually part of our community here in Dallas. She has done some incredible videos about that. So definitely look into her. She goes into a lot more detail about it than I could during this time frame. But if you don't want people to like that to see it, unfortunately, I wouldn't recommend posting, especially on like Instagram, because like unfortunately or on Tumblr or wherever, because they've infiltrated our safe for work tags. But if you wanted to, you'd probably Closet of Frills is probably a little bit more safe. And if you wanted some good constructive criticism, Big Sisters of Lolita Fashion would also possibly be a good place. But like Instagram, if you're worried about that, I would say no. We got time for one more. If anyone else has one more question. So I saw you back there taking notes. Yes.
How often have you encountered somebody that's not part of your community wearing Lolita fashion just out and about?
Quite often, believe it or not. Like, I see it a lot more often when we're hanging out in Little Korea in Carrollton. We actually met a really sweet Babby Lolita at Barnes & Noble in our hometown around a month ago. So, like, there are times, like, you find them. It's just really random, and it's just really, really cool when you do find them. And one thing I can say, like, the best way to let them know that you know what you're talking about and that you're not just some kind of weird person who's like, nah. Tell them that you like their or that you like their coordinate, and that'll clue them in like, oh, you actually know what this is. Awesome. You're a safe person. But that is all the time that we have. Thank y'all again so much for coming. My name is Courtney, and if you want my PowerPoint, come see me. I would be glad to take down your email and send it to you tonight or tomorrow, because it has a lot more resources on there, and I'm mad that once again my PowerPoint didn't work this third time in a row. But thank y'all so much. And my TikTok is Meriderp Cosplays, and my Instagram is Captain Meriderp. So I hope to find y'all on my social media. If you want to join our community, we are the Metroplex EGL community on Facebook. And I hope to see y'all there. Thank you.